It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we got two beers from Aldi to show you. One being Hobgoblin Gold Beer at 4.2% ABV in a 500ml bottle. Picked this up in Aldi, cost me £1.59. Interesting thing though here is the fact that sitting next to this beer in Aldi is Harper's Brewing Company's Golden Ale, 4.5% ABV. Oh, it's higher in the ABV. 500ml bottle. Interestingly, that's £1.45. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, why are you kind of comparing prices with two Golden Ales from Aldi? Well, the reason being is that number one, it's 14 pence price difference, 14 pence more expensive for the Hobgoblin, and the Hobgoblin's lower in ABV by 0.3%. Now, some of you out there will know that Hobgoblin is owned by Marston's Brewing Company, Wychwood Brewery, which actually, well, you do, yeah, you see the Wychwood signed on the bottom. Wychwood Brewery is owned by Marston's. Now, some of you keen-eyed followers of the channel will know that Harper's beers, according to Beer Advocate, are contract brewed by Marston's. So essentially, although the Wychwood Brewery currently in 2024 is still open, essentially these two beers are coming from the same company. Not only is the Hobgoblin lower in the ABV, but it's also 14 pence more expensive. Let's get the two beers out. Ooh. Let's have a look at this. Right. I'm gonna go. One of the glasses has etching on the bottom, which will create more carbonation. Let's roll our sleeves up and get these beers out into a glass and see what we get. Brown bottle for the Hobgoblin. One finger, white head, good carbonation, golden amber in colour, aroma. Yeah, that smells okay actually. Seem to remember reviewing this years ago and not really liking it that much. Perhaps things have changed, whether that be my palate or the beer. Let's try the cheaper but higher ABV Harper's Golden Ale. British flag bottle cap on that one. Etching on the glass, so you should see a little bit more carbonation on this one. Slightly unfair maybe. Some people might be saying it should be in exactly the same glass. I agree, but I didn't have two of the same pots unfortunately today. I don't think it's that much difference really. I suppose if you're being technical, yeah, probably, but look at the colour of the beer. Exactly the same colour. Let's try the aromas then. Hobgoblin. Light wafer biscuit aromas. Bit of hoppiness coming through. Actually, the Hobgoblin smells a little bit lighter, a little bit light-footed, a little bit more hoppy. The Harper's, you're really having to like draw in through your nostrils. there's not much in the way of carbonate aroma at all. Little bit of biscuitiness if we're lucky. Let's get into the Harpers then. Let's try the Harpers beer. Quite pleasant. Light, crispy, wafer malts coming through. Little bit of an astringent bitterness coming through on the back end. Little bit of kind of those traditional British hops coming through. If you've ever tried a Banks beer, I always found Banks bitter growing up. It always had a real kind of like bitterness driving through on it. This is similar. That's okay. Little bit of a lemon finish. It's light and grainy and biscuity up front. And then it's really quite bitter on the back end actually. It's quite a raw bitterness coming through. Let's try the actual Hobgoblin then. Hobgoblin Gold. Very, very similar. In fact, when I say very, very similar, it's almost identical. It's almost an identical beer. What's interesting about this beer from Hobgoblin is, and I just want to check something. Yeah, now for me, the Hobgoblin is a little bit more carbonated on the palate. Whether that be because it's retaining the carbonation and the Harper's is kind of getting rid of a lot of its carbonation from the widget in the bottom of the etching in the bottom of the glass. The Hobgoblin's a little bit more kind of, I like to, these days I like to call it like Prosecco like on the palate. It's a little bit more hissy and fizzy. Grainy, malty, and then that same kind of astringent bitterness comes through on the back end. If I was standing in the aisle after reviewing these two beers and I was asked to choose which one to buy, I mean, for me, it would have to be the Harper's. It would have to be the Harper's. It's almost identical beer. Almost absolutely identical beer. The Hobgoblin, light, malty, hoppy, astringent bitterness on the back end, a little bit of lemon flavour coming through on the bitterness. Exactly the same from the Harper's. But it's 4.5% ABV and it's 14 pence a bottle cheaper. If you're buying 4 bottles, that's next to, that's 50, how's the maths, 54 pence, 52 pence if you're buying 4 bottles. I mean, it's quite a lot of money, isn't it? 54 pence, 56 pence, whatever it is, 50 something pence difference. I mean, this day and age, you may want to buy it for the brand. I mean, I suppose if you're in a situation of, say, buying your father 4 bottles for Father's Day, then you'd probably choose the Hobgoblin. It's a little bit more of a well-known brand. Your father's not going to know where you bought it from, and he's probably going to recognise Hobgoblin. Whereby the Harpers, he may not know so much. He may know it's... Oh, what a time to sneeze. He may know that it's an Aldi beer, and, you know, as a present, probably go with a Hobgoblin. 50 pence more or less exactly the same beer. But if you're consuming this yourself, go for the Harper's Golden Ale. It's the same beer, more or less, same beer. So, which is better? I'd say Hobgoblin. It's a 6 out of 10, Hobgoblin Gold. Harper's, it's a 7 out of 10. I hope you liked the video. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.